ancestors woke me up this morning. They say, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I say, what time is that? They said it's wartime. So welcome to the war front, brothers and sisters. Glad to have you with us this Monday, September 5th, 2016, year of the white race. We're working as fast as possible to bring an end to their rule on planet Earth to an end. Love everything with Straight Black Pride. Still Straight Black Pride will always be Straight Black Pride. One Horizon is fully committed to being part of that movement, 100%, no question about it. However, myself as an individual, Irritated Genie in Southeast, again, the movement's still going, the groups are still moving and functioning, everything is the same. We're actually growing pretty rapidly, which is beautiful. But I will be coming back a little bit more in the One Horizon lane, only because a lot of the things that we need to do and get done and talk about and discuss, I've just been spending a lot of time with the Straight Black Pride movement, and so it's kind of slowed us down here in terms of that hard edge of the One Horizon, which is not a problem because we're going to keep things going strong. But I just want to let everybody know that we're going to be moving back strong into that One Horizon lane. So with that said, brothers and sisters, tonight we have an outstanding program. Very, very, very honored to bring on a sister. She used to have her own program here on the One Horizon Network. Very powerful program called The Children of Southampton. And she also had her own program, radio program in Philadelphia. She used to have the first two and only two authentic Nat Turner Day weekend celebrations in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that she sponsored and paid for out of her own pocket. She's the proud mother of two beautiful children and the wife of a good brother of mine, good friend of mine. Matter of fact, I like this brother. I like this brother so much. I say I love this brother. He's a strong brother. Have a lot of respect for him. He is me. So this is my wife. Many of you are familiar with her. Those that have not ever heard her before, you are in for a treat tonight. She is nobody to play with. In fact, people don't realize this and know that if they know the Irritated Genie, but she's meaner than I am. So don't expect no nice sister tonight, but she's gonna come strong. But I think, we've been doing the Straight Black Pride thing so long, it's making us feel good as a family. She may have some balanced energy, but let me just tell you, she can go. And so she's going to come in here and talk about us, real talk tonight. We're going to really talk, after we had this David Banner situation, where basically we paid to have a brother who was turning the corner from hip hop, coming into this movement, to come in and really share his message, to help us attract people and to help him get his message out and to be taken seriously. And he got up there and acted like a typical hip hopper, came dressed in, looking like he was about, he rolled out the bed and threw on the first thing he found, his little brother's outfit or something like that, and just came in there cussing, N-word, F this and F that. I mean, I got my 45-year-old little baby and my three-year-old son, and it's like, come on, brother. And we let him go for a while. We finally had to say, look, brother, please don't use the N-word no more. And then he wants to act up there. And just cause, just a real ruckus. And we're like, you know what? We've been talking for some time about standards in this African nationalist community. And we've been talking about the fact that we've allowed people to come into this community and take Garvey's platform. And it wasn't just Garvey, there was those before him, but this platform has always been one that's been sacred. And now it's just being desecrated. And so we're talking about, none of us are perfect. I know I'm less perfect than anybody else out there. Believe me, I got a laundry list. I ain't even trying to be a saint. I couldn't even try if I wanted to, But there's got to be some modicum of respect for the platform. But when we get on that platform, at least we do the best that we can to give our people our best and present the best face of who we are to our people so that our people take that. And even if it's a better face than who we really are, if we give them our best face, then our people will strive to be what their image of us is. And that's what we want to do, give them a positive image. So this is going to come in here tonight, talk about standards in our community, talk about what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and just talk about what in the world is going on in the African world community, particularly here in America. So without any further ado, I would like to bring on my beautiful, beautiful wife, Sister Nefertari Kimathi. How you doing, sis? So what is it that, because you've been itching to get in here and talk to the family about something. So I don't even know what it's going to be, but I know that everybody's tuned in, ears wide open. They want to hear to see what the goddess got to say, what the feminine principle got to say. So come on here, don't waste no time. Let's get this thing rock and rolling.
Let's get right to it. Yes, indeed. First of all, thank you for carving out this time to have me on the program, and just happy to be able to speak to the Straight Black Pride family once again. So just bear with me here, family. A lot has happened since our Straight Black Pride convention, and my husband and I were just having so much dialogue about everything that transpired, kind of like debriefing on the whole thing, and just in the privacy of our own home. That I said, let's have this conversation with the family. Let's open this up for the family here. We can talk about this a little bit more, because I felt like as a Black woman, there were some things that I wanted to express in terms of how I felt and what I experienced. Because what I'm seeing a lot out there, just, in the social media realm and things of that nature, a lot of people are hearing it come from you. And as a result, they may not like you, or they have the issues, whatever, it's fine. Or they may agree with you, but it'll come from your perspective. And I said it may be healthy for the Black family to hear from a Black woman who was in the audience, who was watching, who was a part of the whole event. And kind of dialogue from there. Let's talk about some other things as well that are happening in the Black world. And so that's kind of where it was at. And so just to start off, I know you talked about it just a moment ago, but for the family to understand, I suggested to my husband that we bring Brother Banner to Straight Black Pride Movement Convention. Now, understand, he had already heard of Brother Banner from other brothers and sisters that we know personally, around the country, who would say, hey, check out this brother. He had already been, listening, checking him out. And, he appreciated the things the brother was saying, but my husband has a saying, and you may have heard him say it, and if you watch any of the video clips from the convention, never trust an entertainer. And so he told me, you never trust an entertainer. I said, no, babe, but you gotta listen. I feel in my heart something special about this brother. I think that deep down inside, he really means this. He really means it. It's not just lip service. I feel that he's being honest and he's being true with us. And so my husband reluctantly said, okay, I'm going to look into it. So he started looking into it, and one thing led to another, and we talked this person, that person, and we were able to actually secure him for the event. Very expensive, but we said we're going to invest. It wasn't just an investment in Straight Black Pride. We felt like it was an investment in this brother because we saw him stepping out on a limb to speak out for our people. And he was doing it in a respectable manner. He was doing it in a mature manner. One of the things that definitely, of course, anybody who listens or is remotely familiar with Straight Black Pride movement knows that we're very passionate and very serious about not using the N-word. It's not a request. It's not a pet peeve or anything. We don't want to hear it around us. We don't use it. Whatever you do in your own home or in your own space is your business. But as far as we are concerned, we are pushing the Black race forward into another realm where we have respect and dignity for each other, not caring about what anybody else thinks. Respect and dignity for each other. So we want to erase that word from our vocabulary. That being said, we had not one, not two, but several interviews of Brother David Banner saying he was not only against the word, he was against the word, whether it was spelled with a G-E-R at the end, a G-A at the end, whether you were saying it came from the Ethiopian word or it didn't matter. He was against it, whether you meant it in a loving way or you meant it in a, he didn't care, you referred him as that. We are not that, and we need to rid it from our vocabulary. We literally were at home watching these videos, just like, wow, this brother is serious. And again, not one, not two, several interviews on several different programs where he stated this fact, or his opinion on that word and its place around us as Black people. So this was one of the major reasons why we said we're going to invest in that book. Then we listened to him further, and just talking about different things. He never used profanity, at least not in a abusive way. He may have used, one little small curse word here or there, but it wasn't nothing where it was like, whoa, you had to knock yourself back and sit down. So we said, this is a brother who was clean. He's coming to us clean. He's coming to us in a decent manner. Let's invest in him. And we did so on that basis. Anybody who's ever dealt with Straight Black Pride movement, or even Irritated Genie and War Horizon, knows that when we do business, because let me tell you something, I'm one of the individuals who also handles some of the business behind the scenes for our organizations. We're very thorough with ours. We make sure we give you everything. When we ask questions of you when we're planning something, we make sure we cover all our bases. So we make sure that David Banner and his people got all the information about Straight Black Pride. We were even during the process, we were feeding them upcoming developments about different things that were happening with our movement. So they were completely abreast and up to date on everything about who we were. There was no issues or nothing where they could say, oh, you didn't tell us this, that. We told them everything and then some. Matter of fact, there were some things we had even told them that we didn't tell you guys yet because we didn't, it wasn't for public information, but we wanted this brother to know just in case it got back to him before we tell the general public this is something that's going on Straight Black Pride. We wanted him to be 100% fully aware of what he was getting into. And we also said that we supported him. So with that being said, we fast forward to having him at Straight Black Pride convention. I'm sitting in the room with my children, our children. Those Gene and I married our babies. They're 3 and now 5 years old. And I'm sitting close up by the stage. And Irritated Genie had given Brother Banner such a powerful introduction. He literally had everyone in the room, like forced them to stand on their feet and give this brother a rousing round of applause as he came in. Took a long time to come in, or we didn't know what was going on with that. Got so long that our hands got tired. I see people stop clapping. People started to sit back down. They know what was going on. We did another. Genie had to, no, come on, stand up. We got to do this again. Did it again, and he comes on out. That was my first thing I didn't like. I didn't know what that was. So it was kind of, but I wrote it off. I said maybe the brother, just got tied up or didn't hear the cue, wherever he was at, and things happen. I'm not gonna fault. I'm not gonna hold that against him. He comes in the room. People are giving this thunderous applause. Anybody in their right mind, anybody who loves their people, anybody who just has an ounce of humility, when they come into a room like that, where you're getting that type of reception from the audience, would say, oh, thank you, family. Oh, my God, I'm humbled. Thank you. Please sit down. Y'all don't have to do that for me. Please sit down. Please. Oh, man, that meant so much to me. You didn't have to do that, but sit down, fam. Just go. Oh, I'm so thankful. He would just make sure you thank the people. Instead, he'd say, sit down, everybody. We got a long way to go. And you could see people sit down, the uncomfortableness of people sitting down, even myself, like, what? It was an insult. Like, I just stood on my feet for a good while because you didn't come in the first time. And I stood up again making sure I get this thunderous applause for you, and you don't even say thank you. Just tell me to sit down. That's when he got the first strike from me. I said, well, I didn't like that. And I knew something was wrong. Again, how he was dressed. I didn't really pick up on it right then and there, but I knew something was wrong with how he looked because, again, watching all of his... Oh, let me go back one step further, too. I wanted to mention something about our preparation, again, for him coming to Straight Black Pride convention. We sent a lot of people out there on social media and different places saying, y'all should know who he was, and you should know what he did, what he does, and his sayings. If you went to any of his lectures, we sent Straight Black Pride members in not just one, but 2 different states, in 2 different parts the size of the country, to his God Box lectures. None of those individuals came back and reported anything negative narrative that they felt would have been offensive or disruptive to straight black pride movement convention. Any reason to give us a pause. They were all debriefed. Did anything, I mean, from how, the event was organized, to the number of people, to how he engaged, we asked everything. We wanted to make sure we're very protective, not necessarily of somebody else's image. We're protective of our straight black pride family, what we're trying to put out. Then we are real about this. This is not that everybody comes down and join and, pull up a chair and you can be down. No, we don't play that. We're very protective of this. With that being said, I just want that to be clear that we did more than our due diligence. We invested in his own God box lecture and sent people that paid tickets. People sat in the audience and listened. He didn't know they were black pride. And we're able to two different things. He didn't know they wanted that they would come back and give us this. We said, okay, we're good to go. We're moving forward. Back to the event. We all sit down, and he goes on this, I don't know how, it felt like forever. I don't know how long it was. Must have been, I didn't count, but it felt like an eternity. He goes on this rant about how we shouldn't judge people and how we got to love more. And then if everybody, again, if you're even remotely familiar with straight black pride, you would personally feel an attack on what you're talking about, because everybody who just got up on our platform, from the oldest to the youngest, just talked about how we are about the black man and black woman together creating a family. That is it. Anything else is garbage. Anything else is racial treason. You just got for a whole itinerary, just a whole schedule full of people talking about that. And here comes somebody telling us we can't judge. You can't do. You automatically knew what it was. And it was so painful because it said, why is she really doing this? And then, I want to say this part. He came in. Another thing I picked up on, again, it was slight, but I noticed it. And I kind of, you kind of file things away in your memory when you're checking everything. I just filed it away to review later. I noticed how he was dressed. It wasn't just his clothes. He also, even his face, didn't look like he was groomed at all. And that's very important because, again, when I've watched him on all of his other interviews, when I watched him on the little clips of him doing performances and lectures around the country, he's always been very neat. You don't have on a nice, whatever, his top, you usually can't see what he has on the bottom, but his top is nice. He's ironed, it's wrinkle-free. He's groomed. Why is that important? Because we're African people. Even if you don't consider yourself an African, we're black people. Black people, we come from decency. So, it's important to see somebody who is decent. So with that being said, I noticed that. It bothered me because I said, he doesn't normally come dressed like this. He doesn't. Here we are, everyone in the room. Just imagine this black family. From the babies to the women, to the elders, to the brothers. I mean, we done put on our best. You know, women had African garments made. Some people just came in a nice shirt and nice pants, just looking decent and gorgeous because we want to impress each other. We around each other. We love each other. We want to make sure we represent black pride to the best of who we are. And he is the main speaker. He comes and looks like he just rolled out the side of the bed. It really was another slap in the face to us investing in him. Then he proceeds to begin to use the N-word. And I don't even remember when it officially started. I remember it blew me away the first time it happened. I said, okay, here we go. But, like everybody else in the room, even my husband said we let him go. We didn't go at him. We didn't address him on it at all the first go around. Let him go 2 times. Then after he finished his rant, he proceeds to say, now I'm going to start my lecture. It was really uncomfortable. I'm saying he's been talking now forever. He didn't even start the lecture. Now he starts his lecture. And in the beginning of the lecture, he's using the N-word. It wasn't just like once or twice. If you watch the lecture, you see it was almost like a machine gun. Somebody hit you like a semi-automatic weapon. Somebody hit you multiple times for no reason. By that time, if you look at that, I want people to really pay attention, because sometimes we look at things, but we don't pay attention to all the nuances that are going on in front of our eyes. Don't just pay attention to what David Banner is saying. Don't just pay attention to the irritated genius body language. Look at all the people in the room. And specifically, I want you to see there are young people in the front of that room who are looking back at irritated genius, looking back at David Banner. Looking back at irritated genius, looking back at David Banner. Because they're straight black pride children. They're decent children. They know our standards. They uphold our standards. And they're sitting back saying to themselves, what is about to happen? What is Baba Genie going to do? How is this going to play out? They're watching to see how the manhood unfolds. And the same thing those children were doing, the women were doing. Because I was sitting over there with my babies, like, I can see my husband about to pop a blood vessel after that third N-word. He was about to be done. And I'm sitting back, so I need to kiss. I'm trying to find a quick exit because I need to scoop up my children and go out the back door because it doesn't look good. But I saw how my husband handled it. He went to the brother, and he stood where he was in the little room, and he said, brother, we don't use that word. You know, you can see this, we want to hear a lecture, but we don't use that word. Anybody listening to it, you can hear the tone of irritated genius voice and the level of it. So in other words, they hear he's not yelling at him. He's not attacking him. He's asking him very nicely and very humbly. We don't use that word, brother. Now, here's the disgusting part. Here's where you know there was something that was wrong with the situation. That should have been it. And he really and truly didn't believe in that word, like he said in all those countless interviews. It doesn't matter what he was trying to do with the word. He would immediately respect, I'm in a room full of people who do not agree with this word. This is not the place. I don't need to explain to them anything. They don't want to hear it. We respectfully say, oh, I'm bad, brother. Respectful, I'm sorry to all you apologize. And that would have been that. But he begins to challenge my husband on it, which I feel cold. He is digging in his heels. He wants to use this word. This is completely a different person than I had researched. Completely different person. And so he begins to really unravel from there. After he didn't want to stop using them. He really was digging in his heels. But his security, he turns and he goes to the left, or to his right, our left on the screen. And he asks his security, or his security whispers in his ear for him not to use this word. It's okay, don't use it. Okay. I mean, it wasn't even a 30-second exchange if you look at it. He was checked, not by us, really by his security. So he had more respect for his security than he did us. And that hurt me. I said, wait a minute. We're in this room, a bunch of women and children, elders, and beautiful black men who are all everybody dressed to the T. We ask you respectfully, and you challenge us, but you turn over to your security. I guess the security knew it wasn't a good situation. I'm sure they understood that when they surveyed the situation. But the fact is, he respected what they said more than he respected what we said. He couldn't humble himself. So it told me he was coming in there with an ulterior motive. After that point, he proceeds to go even harder, because he had already slipped and used some profanity, not little profanity, hardcore profanity. He had already slipped and done that in his rant that he was doing early on before the quote-unquote lecture. But now that he couldn't use the N-word, he pushed full throttle with the vulgar profanity. Anybody, again, who was watching will see that. So I am at that point thoroughly disgusted. I got my babies in the room. They don't hear this kind of language in our home. They don't hear this kind of language around our family and friends. They don't hear this kind of language around the straight black pride movement. They're babies. And they're being subjected to this. So I walked out at one point, and I came back hoping it was over, and it was like he was still going. And I'm like, wow. And then I realized he was brought in here to completely undermine everything that we were doing. And I want the black family who is listening right now, because again, this is really it's really impacted me. Well, first of all, let me just back up. I wanna apologize. I know my husband says it's not, it's not your, you can apologize for it, you didn't do anything wrong, but I feel a personal sense of responsibility because I suggested to my husband that we have this brother come speak at our event. My husband wasn't thinking about this. Nobody in Straight Black Pride was thinking about this. But when it came up and we, I gave them everything I had looked and I said, I've been researching them and they started pulling up stuff and everybody started reading. Okay, everybody got comfortable with the idea and we invested in the brother. I want to accept responsibility and apologize to my Straight Black Pride family because of my actions in bringing him there. But I do understand from a greater perspective, the ancestors do a lot of stuff. People would call that being spooky or whatever. I believe in my ancestors, not believing in my African God, my black God. This was all ordained. This was all supposed to happen exactly the way it happened. Exactly the way it happened. Exactly down to the precise second of how it happened. It was supposed to go down like this. Because we had to learn, number one, never trust an entertainer. Hold true to that. And number two, how strong are you able to stand as Straight Black Pride family on your principles? Can you stand on your square? Or will you be knocked off? Will you wobble back and forth because you can't hold your footing? Or will you stand firm and stand strong in that square in which you believe in? So for that, I am completely and utterly honored that we had this situation occur. But I also want to say, and I want the family who's listening, I know the people right now who are listening. I don't know if Brother Banner and folks are listening. I hope they are. But if not, I'm sure you have some supporters out there who are listening live or will listen to this rebroadcast. The time is now 7:42. So mark that down. At the 7:42 mark, into the program, 45 minutes or 42 minutes into the program, I am asking, this is me asking from a very humble place, because something in me tells me that brother knows, Brother David Banner knows what he did was wrong. Deep inside his African soul, he knows he did wrong. I'm asking him to make a public apology. Not a private apology. I don't want a letter. I don't want a phone call. Straight Black Pride movement. This was a public disgrace. It was a public event, and I want a public apology. I'm pleading with him to do this because just off of good black principles, period. Nothing more, nothing less. Because I know in my soul that he knows he did wrong. And so I'm asking him to give an apology to the Straight Black Pride family, to all the black families. But more importantly, what I'm really asking him to give an apology to is to his mother. To his mother. Because I'm a mother. And I know how I'm raising our son. I know how my husband and I, we do, as husband and wife, we do everything to raise our children right. But I know as an African, that it is primarily my responsibility as a mother to instill certain early principles and early standards into our son. That's my job as his first teacher. And I know in my heart that his mother, his Bible-thumping Mississippi backwoods mother, did not raise him to behave like that. And I know if she saw that video, she would be ashamed. And he knows she would be ashamed. He knows it. It's an insult. Not just to him as an African, saying I did wrong. Not just an insult to us as a black family. It's an insult to his mother. Because it's a direct reflection on what she did. What did she instill in him? Basic respect. And so I'm asking him humbly to give an apology to us, to the black family. I know the Mississippi family. Anybody in Mississippi watching that video? We got family that's from Mississippi. They all watch. That ain't how we do. We saw. I had a brother call up the Triple Prize home last week. Brother, we ain't heard from this young brother. He's a young brother too, in his early 20s. He's a big supporter of ours. He used to be really active, calling all the time. He's just been busy with school, he's in college stuff. He called us out the blue and said, "Sister, I just want to convey my apologies from Mississippi." He's from Mississippi. I'm going to convey my apologies for how that brother behaved. I said, "What you mean, brother? You weren't there? You like family?" No, that's not my family. I want to apologize. He's not my direct family, but he's my family in terms of being a brother, my black brother, my African brother. He's a family in terms of the fact that we coming from the same place in this country. And he insulted y'all. I was humbled by that. I said, "Dang, brother, you ain't have to do that." He said, "No, I had to do that." If he can do that, a young man in his 20s, David Banner was 42 years old, brother. You're 42 years old. You know you did wrong. And I'm asking humbly, and this is the last time I'm going to say it, I'm asking for an apology. It reminds me of a quick story I'm going to tell. Just from being, we all were raised in different ways. I remember when I was 8 years old, and I was at my grandmother's house. Excuse me. That made me a little emotional. So I'm old, so excuse me, I get emotional. But I remember I was 8 years old and I was at my grandmother's house and I wanted to do something. I don't remember, I wanted to go outside, I wanted to do something, and my grandma said I couldn't do it. And I got mad and I was stomping the house, and she said, "Go sit your little butt down on that couch and don't move." And I was mad because all of my cousins, they all went out there, all outside playing and laughing at me through the window. And then my grandma had a blue velvet couch, and that's a blue velvet. And I had to sit in that corner, and right next to me on the coffee table was a little glass box. You know how your grandmother had those knickknacks in their house? We call them knickknacks. Black folks know what that is. She had a little knickknack. It was a little glass box with a little fake flower inside. And I'm sitting there, all of my little 8-year-old self fuming because my grandma said I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And she's making me sit here. Then I took my little 8-year-old fist and I slammed it down on that knickknack and I crushed it to bits. My grandmother runs out of the kitchen. "You okay? What's that? What's that?" And I'm just sitting there and huffing. I'm furious. She saw what I did. She snatched me up, put me over her knee, and gave me a spanking I had never gotten from my grandmother in my life. And it wasn't that it hurt so bad. It was more so I was shocked because I couldn't believe she snatched me up so fast. Everything happened so fast. And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed because why? I knew what I did was wrong. After she spanked me, she set me back down in that spot, cleaned up a little knick-knack, set me back down, called my mother, told my mother what happened. I heard her, oh man, and my mom coming over here, oh God. My mom gets in the door before she can even get in the house. She's standing in the little entryway right there. The door's still open. My mom snatches me up. "Get over here." And I get a spanking right there on the spot. Spanking number 2. Now I'm more embarrassed. And my mom said, "You apologize to your grandmother right now." And I apologize to her. "Don't you ever do anything like that. Don't you ever disrespect your grandmother's house or your grandmother ever again." I was 8 years old when I said, I remember that lesson. 8 years old. And I remember that lesson. Because what they were telling me was, first of all, you respect your elders. You respect black women. You respect somebody else's house. I'm 8 years old and I got that lesson. And I'll never forget, I thought I would never do that again. I never disrespected my grandmother in any way, shape, or form. I am 40 years old, black family. My grandmother has passed on to the ancestry realm. And I'm still like, "Grandmother, I know you hear me, I apologize." Please, I apologize because I do all wrong to this day. Very simple. Not hard, not complex. And I'm listening and watching people talk about how, "Oh, y'all shouldn't interrupt that man. Oh, you shouldn't have just, that was just disrespectful how y'all interrupted him. All he said was N-word, y'all being too sensitive. All this stuff. They get over, N-word means this, the N-word means that. And you really mean it. The one who was saying is, the Ethiopian time, that's one of the, well, he's only trying to say that we shouldn't use it. He was talking about the etymology of the word. He's trying to break down the psychosis that we have. All kind of mumbo, people just take it to a whole nother stratosphere. But it's real simple. That's like me sitting there. Mom, I was just angry. You don't understand how angry I was. I'm just so upset. Grandma couldn't let me go. I'm doing all this explaining when it's real simple. You just disrespected your grandma. You just lost your mind temporarily. It's okay. We all do it sometimes. But accept that you're wrong and move on. This brother came into our house. We weren't in a room full of his audience. We weren't at a God Box lecture. We weren't at a David Banner concert. We weren't at a Aspire TV show, whatever the TV show he's on now. We weren't in the audience a live shooting of that. We were in a straight black pride event. This was our moment in time, our space, our energy, our vibe. If we said, please don't use the word brother, the respectful thing is to say, oh, no problem, I apologize, no problem, and be done with it. Because here's somebody else's home. You don't come in somebody else's house and disrespect them. It's simple, real basic, not complex. And for those who are challenging this, the biggest thing that it told me was, well, let me just say this to you, King, my husband. Because I didn't know what my husband was going to do. I was frozen in time for a second because I knew he was boiling. And I said, my husband about to pop. And I didn't know how that pop was going to be translated. But I was so proud of him because he tried to give this brother a chance. Way more than he's given other people. He gave him a chance to stop. Before he even did, he gave him 4. We got 4 N-words out. Before we said, you got to stop. And then he gets pushed back on that. I thank my husband because what my husband did at that time was he exemplified black manhood. We ain't seen it. We're not used to it. When I sat back and we had this conversation, my husband and I, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, babe, we're not used to this. We ain't seen black for long. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it sounds like. We don't know what it feels like.